Pay me, pay me, pay me my silver now. Pay me or go to jail. Pay me my silver now.
Roadrunner.com. Craziness out there. I mean, there isn't one sector of the world that is not absolutely insane. Yeah, who knows what's going on? The real story behind the terrorist attacks, Israel's response, all that stuff. It's all happening at the right time for the banking cabal, the deep state type people. Who knows? Who knows? I don't believe anything I read. Half these pictures are faked. When they come out talking about babies on CNN, you gotta wonder. So I can't give you any advice as to what I can tell you is none of this will affect silver. Silver isn't a. I mean, you could have a solar flare go off and wipe out half of humanity, and the price of silver wouldn't move. It's controlled. It has been controlled since the early 1970s with computers and derivatives. So none of this matters as far as they'll teach you that precious metals are hedges against political turmoil, inflation, all that stuff. They should be. Historically, they should be. But they have been under control for at least 50 years with computers and derivatives. Like not kind of control, complete control. If you go back in history, any government that went off a gold standard only lasted for about 6 or 7 years. We went off the gold standard in 1971. It almost crashed. Everything almost came down in 1980. But we had computers and derivatives, and Alan Greenspan wrote some programs in the early 1970s to create the monetary system, create the rigging mechanisms to do that. CFTC was set up to run cover for it. I hope everybody understands that. And I'm going to get into that for a minute, but no, none of the news, no matter how crazy it gets, even this one, the next big solar storm could fry the grid. I mean, that scares me more than anything else, because the bad guys like to tell you things before it happens. So will we see if that happens, we're all dead anyway, and a horrific death. Not that it would fry you, but if you shut off all electronics, you have just Mad Max chaos, and then all the nuclear plants melt down, and it's over. It's over. Nice try, humanity. Go back to the stars. Come back again when you're ready to, a few thousand millennia when the Earth heals, and who knows? Who knows? It's a little doom and gloom these days everywhere you look. Let's talk about silver. I'm not gloomy at all about silver. Newbies on the road to it, people are just starting to listen to me say, well, you said, this is going to happen and this is going to happen. And I said, always, don't forget, always, they can click a mouse and set the price of silver to minus $40. It's that easy, a click of a mouse. These are fake exchanges with fake trades. They make you think you're beating them, and then they pull the rug out from under you to continue the con. So you will never see $100 silver on the COMEX. The COMEX would shut down. First of all the shorts would be destroyed. And those are mostly too big to fail banks. So it's one of those things, the chicken and the eggs. Which is going to come first? Is the silver price going to run up and destroy the banking system, which destroys everything else? Or is it vice versa? The banking system implodes because of something JP Morgan does, for example. They have one of their 50, 60 trillion dollar derivative trades go bad, and all of a sudden we're bailing them out again. Too big to fail banks should not play in commodities, should not be anywhere near commodities. As a matter of fact, great article in Bloomberg. They're absolutely clueless about what they're actually saying, but a great article, Citi Mega Metals Trade Shows Global Markets Turning to Glut. Citi has bought up aluminum and zinc in a metal financing play. U.S. Bank has become one of the biggest players in the metal markets. So if you see a glut in a commodity, and that what they're saying is aluminum, zinc, there's a glut in aluminum and zinc. So Citibank is saying, oh, we're going to buy as much as we can of the physical, take delivery of physical. That's completely opposite of what Citibank would do. If they see a glut, they would absolutely sell everything they have, get rid of all of it. But no. I mean, everything it's like up is down, down is up, black is white, and white is black in the media. Citigroup has been buying large volumes of physical aluminum and zinc on the London Metal Exchange in a bold metal financing trade that's made it one of the biggest players in the market in recent months. By the way, why the hell are we giving too big to fail banks who we bail out time and time again the ability to create money out of thin air and buy up physical commodities? Doesn't that strike you as odd? Oh, by the way, there's only 3 banks in the OCC, the Office of Controlling Currencies Derivatives Data. 3 banks are the controllers of the price of silver. JP Morgan, number 1. Number 2 is Bank of America, with the least they did with JP Morgan, so I see them as the same entity. And number 3 is Citibank, with their perpetual derivative position on silver. So, the purchase marks the return of a major driver in metals from the post-financial crisis years. Too much supply in the market drives spot prices much lower than contracts for later delivery, creating opportunities for companies that can buy up metal cheaply and hold it while selling it forward at a profit. Oh my God. Why didn't they publish this article when JP Morgan bought 1.2 billion ounces of physical silver while the time they were suppressing price on the COMEX? Why? Where was Bloomberg in those days? Everybody was screaming it. But now, why are they, and it's all about why now? Why now? Why now? Why are they talking about the connection between too big to fail banks and physical metals? Why now? Because we're at the end game. All this is the setup to say, oh my God, look what happened to silver. We have to take banks out of the silver game. By the way, they're getting out anyway on the COMEX. The Commitment of Traders report is one of the lowest ever for the commercials. So what happens now? We either run to the hills and they try to close it out completely and go long even, or they're going to try to let it go up to $25, $28, $30 and short it massively again. Wash, rinse, repeat. Citigroup. Now, this is the zero hedge take, Mike Shellock of Mishtalk. Let's go right to him. Citigroup is one of the largest metal speculators. Hello, Fed, FDIC. Am I the only one who thinks the banks should be banks, not hedge funds? Bloomberg reports, and they talk about in the last few months, Citi requested delivery of 100,000 tons of aluminum and 40,000 tons of zinc, worth over $300 million, according to people familiar with the matter. See, when it ever says, according to people familiar with the matter, first of all, if you're a broker of commodities, you never, ever, ever, ever tell people what you're doing. You never let it leak. Anybody who does it, you shoot them. Just ask Mark Rich what he does to people who tell people of his position. You can't ask him now. He's gone. He's long gone. But I mean, I was a broker of computer equipment back in the day, and I remember making that mistake. Somebody in our office who was dealing with a different kind of stuff. I did this huge deal, brought all these cheap PCs in, and was going to sell them for double the price and all that stuff. And it talked about in one of the meetings, and then one of the other brokers, who's kind of a competitor, an idiot, told one of the biggest players in the market, and all of a sudden, the price for PCs crash, and poof, you never, ever, 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 ever reveal your position. That's also why in the 19 recommendations I sent the CFTC about how to fix the COMEX silver market, one of those recommendations was have all positions open. All positions have to be identified, who has them, who's doing the trade, and why. Every position, so there's no secrets. If you want a free and clear market that is free of manipulation from what we went to in the past, that's what you got to do. Everybody has to have an open kimono so we know how many silver ounces were held by JP Morgan, or leased to Bank of America, or sold naked short by Citibank. If you really want a freely traded market, That's the kind of market we have to move into. But will they do it? No. So I am fully suspect of this. Why did what do they call them? People familiar with the matter, secret sources. Why are they telling people this? What is it? What's the bigger picture? What's going to happen in the next couple of weeks that will say, oh my God, yeah, look, just like when Citibank was taking zinc and aluminum. That's why the prices of silver have tripled, quadrupled. Not the 50 years of computer-rigged pricing by entities like Virtu Financial. Look up Virtu Financial. Go to roadtoroot.com. Check it out. I called them out when they were still called EWT LLC, which stood for the Elliott Wave Theory. We used to call it the Idiot Wave Theory because all the technical traders would go, oh my God, it's the Elliott Wave number 5, and try to trade, and then they'd just be fleeced by the computer market riggers. And they changed their name from EWT, Elliott Wave Theory, LLC, to Virtu Financial, like they're very virtuous. Run by Vinny Viola. Yes, the same Vinny Viola who got kicked out of West Point and Trump had put up as the head of the Army, I believe. But he had to back out because he was even more criminal than any other banker. It was really bizarre. Strange things happen. Trump used to put everybody who he wanted the visibility on as the head of that area when he was president. Kind of cracks me up. And makes me, I know behind the scenes. This is just, we're in the play. This is all part of the show. But the analysis by Citi, or by the Shedlock guy is pretty good. Too big to fail. I would not give a rat's ass what Citi did with its own money, but as long as it's deemed to be a too big to fail bank, it should not act like a hedge fund. Banks should be banks, not hedge funds. Citi is now one of the biggest players in metals speculation. Not now, they always were. If you looked at the OCC data for silver, it was always Citi at number 2. And then Bank of America came out and leased all the JP Morgan physical, and I think Buffett has it now, who knows. Anyway, it says, Citi is now one of the biggest players in metal speculation. In practice, I doubt this position is big enough to matter, but it is another example of the willingness of banks to make speculative bets. Well, JP Morgan took into their warehouses 1.2 billion, with a B, billion ounces of physical silver, which was, 12 times the amount that the Hunt brothers did. And it was Gary Gensler. Gary Gensler was the head of the CFTC at the time and allowed all this to happen. Yes, the same guy who's making all the rulings on cryptos at the SEC, and who, as a matter of fact, oversees the iShares Silver Trust, which is a manipulation arm of the cabal. Really interesting, though, an entity, small, I don't know if they're small, Baymount Management, at the last reporting cycle, all of a sudden added 24 million ounces of silver in iShares Trust shares. 24 million ounces, valued at 6.7 million. That can't be right. Who knows? This might not be right. I don't know. Let's take a look at the chart. No, I need to log in. All right. Anyway, there's shit going on, and look who else has SLV now. If you're an authorized participant in SLV, you can add baskets, but you can also pull baskets out at 50,000 shares. So all these entities, Citadel, Bank of Canada, Bank of America, there they are, Toronto Dominion, Goldman Sachs, UBS, all these entities, Wells Fargo, can pull packages of 50,000 ounces off at a time. 50,000 ounces off out of SLV at a time. Cash it in. It's pretty interesting. But again, remember, SLV is run by BlackRock and JP Morgan. BlackRock, one of the massive silver riggers behind the scenes, because they don't have to report like the bankers do. They got a guy running their silver department named Eddie Hambro. Evie Hambro of the Hambro gold and precious metals dynasty, one of the elite bloodlines of mining, and it goes back to kings and queens destroying South Africa. So yeah, Evie Hambro, keep that name in mind, because I think he'll be one of the people they talk about when the silver mess falls apart, because he runs the division for BlackRock. For those of you who didn't know. But you don't hear much about BlackRock other than that they own SLV. And JP Morgan in BlackRock has instructed the number one criminal within silver, and everybody knows it, and they paid the largest fine in commodity history at the time, $920 million. But BlackRock chose to hold the silver and inventory at JP Morgan. Does BlackRock have a fiduciary responsibility to its shareholders, the shareholders of SLV, not to get a criminal like JP Morgan Chase in the middle of the physical metal? I would think so. They're completely liable, if you ask me. But nobody asked me. That's the problem. All right. So, where are we? So here we are. We're hovering down below the moving averages, just like down here. It looks identical, except on a larger scale, where they slammed it down. It came up above the 200-day moving average, and then they did the big slam down. So they slammed it down here, and then they did the big slam down. This is the big slam down. I don't think we're going farther down there, but who knows? They can click a mouse and put it anywhere you want, right? But they have been getting out of their shorts, which tells me they know that the game's almost over. All right, moving on to Sam Bankman-Fried trial. Caroline Ellison's testimony continues. Caroline Ellison was Sam Bankman-Fried's girlfriend. This is the FTX drama. Her father was Gary Gensler's boss at MIT when Gary Gensler taught cryptocurrencies at MIT. I mean, the deep state cabal. And this was these two people dating. Sam Bankman-Fried's mom and dad are deep state operatives. He's working out of Stanford, complete anti-Trumper lawyer that, concocts all these. I mean, I would guess that Trump's in court right now because of this jackass, Sam Bankman-Fried's dad. And the mom is charged of the dark ops of funding the Democratic nominees. That's why all the money was funneled through the Ukraine into FTX and then into Sam Bankman-Fried's mom, who distributed it to all the Democratic people running for office. Welcome to America. Like I said, welcome to America. Sam Bankman-Fried, yes, he should go to jail. Caroline Ellison's too freaking stupid. I mean, she's supposed to be like book smart, but dumb, innocent. I doubt she's innocent at all. But I don't know if she knew all that much. Nor did Sam Bankman-Fried, other than his mom and dad saying, here's what you do. And I'm sure the crypto cabal was in there too. The deep state, the pedo cabal of the crypto people. These guys are knee deep in that too. So this is great that they're being dragged in front of the court, but why not drag their parents? And why not drag Gary Gensler and say, okay, why did all these people from the CFTC that you ran end up working for FTX, for Sam Bankman-Fried? What were you doing? What was your overall plan? Why didn't you stop the what was it called? The DeFi, the growth of DeFi coins. Oh my God, I had so many people saying, Bix, you're missing out on all these returns. And now they have zero. That was Gary Gensler that put that together. Absolutely. I was screaming it. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. Many people did. I guess I don't know what to tell you. Very interesting. Steve Scalise or Jim Jordan. Jim Jordan is supposedly the one that would put the hammer down on the bad guys. I like Jim Jordan a lot. I think he would. But I think Steve Scalise would too. Now he's not as he hasn't been as upfront as Jim Jordan, but they tried to kill him. They shot him. They shot Steve Scalise to try to assassinate him when he was playing softball. You guys remember that? So don't tell me that Steve Scalise doesn't have a few bones to pick with the deep state crazy people in Washington. He does. So, I think the best thing for this situation is if neither of them get it, and it kind of just drags on, and then there's no more funding for the U.S. government. Wouldn't that be interesting? That would drag us into November, and that would hit the death of the dollar that the remote viewers saw was it was the last day of Congress. Would it be the last day of Congress if the Republicans can't get any Speaker of the House? No one's going to agree to anything. Like I said, it's going to be really hard to bail out banks when the banks go down next because nobody can agree on anything. And now they're not going to be able to agree on a Speaker, most likely. I mean, either of those guys I'd be fine with. Jim Jordan, because he's just a bulldog and extremely smart, and he's like the lawyer you want on your side. And Steve Scalise was the person they tried to eliminate by assassination. So I bet he's got a few bones to pick with these assholes up in Congress, the Democratic side that probably ran that operation. And then this just cracks me up. Black Lives Matter. Oh my God! I remember I was living in Oakland when the Black Lives Matter thing came up, and everybody had Black Lives Matter signs in front of their house, and they were all white people with Black Lives Matter in front of their house. And I get the concept, but all lives matter, and you couldn't say that because they'd freak out. And the Black Lives Matter people are just, oh my God! I heard they get $100 million, and they bought mansions and said, nothing went to black people, nothing went to help the cause. And now they're tweeting, they're celebrating Hamas's rave massacre, and then doubles down and says, yeah, so we're completely on the side of the Palestinian, the Hamas part of the Palestinian. I'm like, Jesus Christ. There's a soccer team in Oakland called the Oakland Roots that still is sponsored by BLM, the terrorist organization, Black Lives Matter. And everybody's like, oh my God, now who do we root for? BLM's run up against the Anti-Defamation League now, and they're just going to get destroyed. And that's basically the end of Black Lives Matter, I think, which is a great thing. So we will see. Crazy world. Crazy world. This is Bix. You want to join the private road to Ruta? I'll be talking to Ms. Moonstone tomorrow. We got a lot to talk about. Click subscribe today. We're still giving away one Veritasium token with every renewal or new subscription to the Road to Ruta private road. It's a 1-year subscription, $2.99 for a year, and you get access to all amazing stuff on the Road to Ruta, Insider Scoop, all the things I can't talk about on YouTube, for example. And a great time to be alive because now's the time when we change the future. It's going to get uglier. I hate to tell you, especially if there's a solar flare, an EMP or something, or a fake solar flare, or a fake alien invasion, you name it. Anything can happen now. Get your assets in your own possession. That should be the most obvious thing and the first thing you do. Assets in your own possession only. This is Bix. I'll talk to you later.